Hey everyone, what we're going to do today is an Arky jig. I call it the Arky Craw. Um, in the vise we have a 1/4 ounce Arky head with a 2/0 VMC 7161 hook. Uh, this is a good one for those that like to use a little bit of heavier tackle that want to fish with like a craw style jig. Um, Very easy to tie. We're going to get started here with some 210 flat waxed 210 denier flat wax nylon. Danville is my preferred brand. We're going to start getting our thread base on. Got to get my scrap bucket here. We're going to come down right to the beginning of the hook shank there. So once we got a little bit of a thread base started, we're going to put our mouth parts on, which that's what I call it anyway. We're going to start with some olive bucktail since the jig is green pumpkin. So I'm going to take this olive bucktail, and you want it at the ends just barely come a little past the hook bend. And you want to leave the extra length on your bucktail because you want to bring it up here because there's not a lot to tie to. As you can see, with being with a 2/0 hook on this jig, it keeps it nice and compact. Really good finesse size, but as you can tell, it doesn't leave a lot to tie to because we do want to have some hook shank. Otherwise, it defeats the purpose. It'll look nice, but you won't catch many fish. So I got my bucktail there started and tied in. I'm going to tie it in real tight above that holder. And it depends on what style Arky jig you use too with how you're going to tie this. But this is pretty standard. This is the Do-It Trokar Arky head. I like it because it's really flat in the bottom, so it's going to stand up. And I'm just trimming off some excess here that I don't need. So after I get that bucktail tied in there, the next thing I'm going to do is take a piece of chenille. This is orange crawfish chenille. And I'm going to pull the threads back so I have that little thread that I can start to tie in. And again, you're right at the base of that hook there. Bring my bobbin up, and I'm going to wrap this to make a little ball. When I'm satisfied with that, we're going to tie it off and snip the excess. Make a couple more securing wraps. Now we're going to put some Antennea in. And for this jig, I like using this stuff here. It's peacock herl. It's hard to see if trying to catch the light, but you'll see it shimmers. It has an iridescent quality to it. This jig isn't going to have a lot of flash, so I like kind of incorporating this. It's not very tough, but for antenna, it works great for a jig, you know, to add some flash without too much. We're just going to... You might want this like twice as long as what your claws are going to be. Of course, it's easier for me because I've done this jig, so I have an idea, but just eyeballing it. But if you want a hard number, we'll get a tape measure here, and we'll say from the end of the hook point, about 2 1/4 inches from the end of the bottom of the hook, about 2 1/4. You want that antenna sticking out. Again, that's up to you with how much you want. It really It depends on the look you want. I'm going to snip the excess peacock herl off. Now we got all that done. The next step is our claws. And we're going to take some olive variant. This is Hareline Dubbin Company rabbit strips, and I like them because the quality is it's hard to beat Hareline products. I mean, this hair is real thick. If you get off-branded rabbit strips, the hair is not as thick. The dye is a little off sometimes, but Hareline does a good job with their products. So we're going to take our rabbit strip, and again, you want this probably about an inch, inch and a quarter, inch and a half beyond the bend of the hook for your claws. Again, your mileage may vary. It depends on your jig. If you're using like an 1/8 ounce with a size 1/0 or something, it's going to be a little different, but for the most part, you're going to be about an inch to an 1 3/4 inches in that range beyond your beyond the bend of the hook. And once you get them situated to where you want it, you can tie it in, and you're going to come down all the way right behind that chenille ball, because that's what's going to keep your claws separated. And I like to tie it up into the skirt collar just to make sure that it's not going to come out, being that we're down on the shank of the hook like that, and not a lot of hook sticking out, not a lot to tie on to. This is really going to anchor my claws in, so it's going to be pretty much bulletproof. Now, we got all that done. The next step is to we're going to take an orange piece of strung hackle. This is fluorescent orange, and I'm going to tie it in by the tip. I'm going to start it right behind that chenille ball. And then I'm going to take some brown chenille. And of course, like with all the chenille I tie in, I pull some fibers back, and it's going to leave that little black thread. Sometimes it's white depending on the color, and that's what I'm going to tie it in by that little thread. Then we're going to bring our thread all the way up. Now we're going to start wrapping our chenille. And you come right up to the base of that head there on the collar. A couple of wraps. Cut the excess off. Now I'm going to take my hackle pliers. And again, you could do this by hand if you want. I'm going to start wrapping this hackle. Pull some of them barbs back. You want to be careful to keep some of them barbs way out. It's what's going to give you your action. And take it all the way up above my chenille, and I'm going to tie it off there. Don't worry if it traps them down at the top here. That's why we're tying it above, because you're going to trap some unless you cut your hackle and you're perfect that you could tie it off and hit the stem, but that doesn't happen too often. And I'm going to take my scissors here. Be careful when you trim this that you don't take too many fibers off. Push that down. And we're going to finish tying it. And we're going to do a quick whip finish. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Trim off my thread. Take a little bit, excuse me, take a little bit of the Sally Hansen's Hard as Nails Clear. And you can see I trapped a little bit of them fibers above. That don't make any difference. I'll simply take my scissors and snip them away. Good as gold. Let me show this to you. Now there is a hole in the head that I could put a weed guard in here, which I will. You can see the hole right here. But this is it. And as you can see, it stands up, which is something a lot of people like. You got these long antennae here. It's a really easy craw to tie. Like I said, it just basically depends on what size you want. We're using a head with a smaller hook. So it comes out pretty good. But give it a shot. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching.